Sephiroth Ragnarok donates says video about one of the most dangerous prisons in the world. The video came out yesterday. Dangerous prisons. I actually watched a Netflix documentary. Kinda interesting. But I don't know how much they're putting on an act in those places as well, and how much they're over exaggerating. This one seems safe though to show.
Cannibals, mass murderers, and terrorists have in common. Okay, there are maybe a few things, but today we're going to focus on one particular aspect. They're all groups of people held in Penal Colony Number 6, or Black Dolphin Prison. And
I don't think I've heard about this one.
Most high security and possibly most brutal prison for no reason.
Penal
This
Colony?
is a place that's been compared to Soviet gulags and Nazi concentration camps, and inspired protests in the form of self-mutilation. Fancy going on a quick tour? Pull up at Penal Colony Number 6, and the first thing visible on the lawn outside is a huge statue of, you guessed it, a black dolphin. Although normally a friendly and benign creature, the dolphin seems fairly foreboding outside such an ominous place. Especially
Whisker, Mr. Force, we politely ask to make Whisker use a default TS for alas, we will stir up a ruckus. H.
No, I like that TTS. It's just that I don't think it's as clear if someone wants to get a message out, you know, or because I don't always have time to read what it says if I don't get something. I just feel like it's best, and then for the people that know how to use it, they will use Wesker anyway. But I'm just saying standard or default.
Probably a mass murderer or
the one is
something.
better.
Was it a cry for help? A metaphor for life inside the prison? Well, time to go inside and see for ourselves. Walk inside the prison and you'll notice that everything revolves around one thing: security. At first, it doesn't seem like there are any inmates here at all. The place is completely silent, with the inmates firmly locked away most of the time. What's happening behind closed doors, nobody knows. Although prisoners spend the vast majority of their time at Black Dolphin in their cells, they occasionally need to be let out. Maybe they want to head to the exercise cell for the daily expedition, or need to go to the hospital. Naturally, guards can't just escort them in a civilized manner. These are dangerous prisoners. When guards transport prisoners from A to B, even handcuffs aren't enough. Each prisoner must be blindfolded and bent over as guards guide them along from behind. This ensures the inmates can't memorize the layout of the building and plot a crafty getaway. Dignity doesn't exist.
Wait, what? If you're bent over, you cannot memorize the layout? Huh? That's weird. Blindfolded makes sense, but you can still count the steps in each direction, even if you're bent
As they walk
over.
along, guards kick and punch them while heavy metal music blasts out from the speakers.
That's weird.
Not for entertainment purposes. It's all to add to the disorientation and presumably to add some extra fear and mania. This violence is a daily part of life in Penal Colony Number 6. The bad treatment includes torture in the form of electric shocks as well as beatings. It's so brutal, one inmate, Roman Sarichev, died from his beatings at the hands of guards just 3 hours after arriving in the prison. This is a fairly commonplace in Russia. In the northern country, 2,700
I was gonna
prisoners died in
say,
custody in
this ain't the
2019.
US.
Although some
Hello,
of those deaths may
can
have
you
been
please set an unbeatable record in Minecraft so you can focus on other games?
Yes,
I'm not watching XQC
it's happening.
because he speedruns every game. Disgusting. It's not enjoyable. You, Mr. Forsen, are extremely
Speedruns every
lucky, so
game.
it's more fun to watch. Happy laugh.
Yeah, I tend to give the game an honest chance, but I too end
from illnesses or
playthroughs
well,
prematurely
natural causes.
sometimes if I
Let's be real
think
here.
that the game is
It's
just
likely
not
most of them came down to
good
torture
after
and beatings
a
from
while.
guards. Even prisoner on prisoner
But I try
violence is
finishing
unusual
games.
at Black Dolphin, since all the inmates are isolated from each other. Of course, the staff makes up for the shortfall by inflicting the pain themselves. In one
I beat Ghost of Sushi, you fucking imbecile. The game was decent enough to finish, in my opinion. It wasn't like super amazing, but
one case, a guard strangled a
good.
prisoner with a bedsheet while he was sleeping. Clearly,
Ghost
the guy
of
was posing so much
Tsushima.
danger to society and the rest of the prisoners
know
while
what
he
I'm
was
talking
getting some shut-eye. It wasn't an unusual incident. Another guard
Stalker
killed the
was
prisoner by
trash.
slamming a bookshelf into his head, giving him a brain hemorrhage. I'm just surprised there was a bookshelf in the prison. These are just the cases we know of. After all, prison staff aren't exactly forthcoming and transparent about the figures. Although guards are required to wear cameras so their superiors can monitor what's happening on the ground, these cameras mysteriously stop working whenever something happens that could make the wearer look bad. By look bad, we mean murdering a prisoner. This happened in the case of Sarachev, the man who the guards beat to death. Although the camera footage showed the first part of the beatings, there's no footage of him dying. Nothing suspicious there. Of course, it's easy enough to put two and two together. When his body was taken to the mortuary, staff told the man's distraught family that his body had been flung around like a rubber toy, his corpse full of strange and disturbing bruises. Meanwhile, medical facilities are almost non-existent. Care is delayed as long as possible, and even inmates with serious diseases like HIV and AIDS have been denied treatment periodically. Around a third of the prison deaths may be down to AIDS. Plus, the prison has been around
What
since
the fuck?
1745, meaning it's not exactly built for hygiene. Epidemics are common. It might sound harsh, and, well, it is harsh, but when you get to know these guys, you'll understand why people are scared of them. Cannibalism. Sorry. There are around 700 prisoners inside Black Dolphin prison. Between them, they've killed over 3,500 people. That's an average of 5 people for each prisoner. You don't want to get on their bad side. In case you were getting curious about who these guys are, here's a quick breakdown. First up, former KGB officer and executive Alexei Pikugin. He's responsible for the murders of 4 of his business rivals. He obviously took the idea of killing the competition a little too literally. Strangely, that's probably the most reasonable crime of all these guys. By the way, we were shocked too. Bloodthirsty, murderous KGB officers seem to be something that Vladimir Putin would reward, not in prison. Next up, Igor Tishenko, a man who has some family drama on another level. He and his father got involved in a crazy Moscow gang shootout that resulted in the deaths of 7 people and the injuries of even more. Now father and son are both locked up. Tishenko says he's trying to stay human in Black Dolphin instead of turning into an animal. Good luck to him for that. This place is crazy. Then you have Nikolai Ostankov. He brutally killed a family of 5 and burned their bodies in the forest. Not crazy enough for you? Next. Vladimir Nikoliev accidentally killed a man after a drunken fight, and that's the most normal part of his crime. After the murder, he did what any thinking man would do, dragged the body inside his house and cut it into small pieces. Looking at the tiny pieces laid out in front of him and still in a drunken stupor, a strange thought crossed his mind. What did human meat taste like? He boiled part of the thigh and tried it, but he wasn't a fan of the taste. Still not one to give in so early, Nikoliev suspected a touch of deep frying would do the trick. Bingo! It was delicious. He was pleased with the outcome, but he needed to eat far more to get rid of the evidence. He'd never finished the whole body himself, so he gave a friend a present. Part of the body. Was his friend also a cannibal? Not exactly. Nikoliev told him it was kangaroo meat, knowing that no Russian would know what kangaroo meat was supposed to taste like. Smart. The man ate it in dumplings along with his wife and children. I'll give you a moment to digest that.
Pelmini!
Still not the worst of the bunch. Mikhail
Human
Volkov is one of
pelmini.
the worst murderers and
Nice.
criminals in global history. He committed 81 rapes and murders in total, and they were just the crimes he actually confessed to. The Russian media calls him the werewolf. Ironically, he was a cop. Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said these guys were hardcore. But in all fairness, there are allegations that some Russian reports of crimes aren't credible. Police have been known to beat and threaten suspects until they got confessions. So maybe these are all nice guys who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You never know. But I sure hope not, because they have to endure some
Yeah,
damn
this is
difficult
like
conditions
fucking
in
hell,
Black
dude.
Dolphin. Life
Like,
there is
probably
pure
being a
isolation.
prisoner in one of these
door
places
alone
is
was
probably
never
hell,
really
because you're gonna
sufficient
spend the
to
rest of your
ensure
life there, right?
Instead, the prison
Being
uses a
tortured and
three-door
shit.
system.
Like, this is
A full
probably the
metal
closest
door
we can
shuts
get.
the prisoners into their cell, followed by 2 consecutive cage doors. It's like a cell within a cell. Even if some escape artists managed to get through all 3 doors, they'd still have to contend with the in-cell cameras that staff monitor 24/7. It shouldn't come as a surprise that nobody has ever managed to escape from the prison. Oh, and just in case there was any doubt about the difficulty of getting out, guards also make rounds every 15 minutes. If you want to pick all 3 locks and run away before the guards watching the CCTV footage come for you, you gotta be quick. There's not much hope of getting released either. Most of the prisoners in Black Dolphin have no hope of leaving. As
Yeah.
one prison lieutenant grimly put it, the only way to leave is by dying. But bizarrely, one of the few inmates to be released actually wanted to go straight back. 55-year-old murderer Gambar Makhmudov was released from his 11-year sentence in Black Dolphin in 2018, presumably out of pity to enjoy his retirement or something. But instead of heading home to enjoy a quiet
What do you mean
life
out
and
of
do some
pity?
jigsaws, Makhmudov had other ideas. He barely made it to the train station before he could no longer contain his wild side. Instead of calmly making it home, he went on a crazy killing rampage, stabbing an employee and a commuter multiple times with a kitchen knife. Clearly, Black Dolphin Prison did a fantastic job of rehabilitation. When police arrived on the scene and shot Makhmudov with a stun gun, he had only one request. He wanted to be sent back to Black Dolphin Jail, the blissful paradise filled with mass murderers and cannibals. Well, it's safe to say he scuppered the dreams of
Alright. Nasty Gaming, thank you for the tier 3, 57 months there. Grey Heathen, Bot, and Aliel. Hybrid Venom 9, welcome back, please. Jeez. The fucking war taunts. Nice.
every other inmate who actually wanted to leave that place. I doubt they're gonna let anyone else leave anytime soon. Why did he want to go back? You might be thinking that the prison can't be so bad after all. Well, let's look at the evidence. While in prison, the only contact prisoners get with the outside world
got a
is
boyfriend
4
in there.
visits a year. Not that our cannibal can expect a visit anytime soon from that friend he tricked into eating his forensic evidence. As for other little luxuries, well, there aren't many. Prisoners can spend an hour a day exercising, but instead of a nice green area or even some fake grass, all the Black Dolphin inmates get is an empty concrete yard. And by yard, I mean a room indoors with railings over the top. It's basically just another cell, but it's slightly bigger and you're allowed to move around in there. While the prisoners are pacing back and forth trying not to go crazy, the guards inspect their cells to check for contraband. The prison is also designed to avoid fostering any kind of humanity or sympathy. Each door features a description of the crime the prisoner inside committed, to serve as a stark reminder to prison officers that there's no need for them to feel any sympathy. After getting their daily exercise, some prisoners might head off to work. Inmates can either do manual labor in a workshop or work a sewing machine to earn some coin. They can use their salaries toward
This is
personal
from the
items or
Netflix
phone calls
documentary.
or other
That
black
I
market
haven't watched them all. There's like 4
As
of them
for
on Netflix.
socializing, it's tough luck.
I
Prisoners
just
must
said I
eat
watched
their meals in their
1 or
cells,
2.
limiting the time they have to talk to each other. Most meals are soup and bread. Yummy. Each prisoner remains in their one-man cell the entire day other than the 90-minute period they can leave to work and exercise. Cells have no windows, a low ceiling, and everyone's favorite color of paint, light yellow.
I would really like to
Each
do an
inmate should
experiment
have
where
2
I
square meters
go
of
into
space,
an
but this
isolation
requirement isn't
cell.
always
People
met.
say you go
Conditions
fucking
here are
insane
so
or
bad
whatever,
that
but
protesting by hunger strike was deemed too soft. Instead, inmates have mutilated themselves
I don't know if
committed
it's that-
suicide to raise awareness of their conditions.
that bad,
Considering
really.
there are only 4
But I'm
visits
also
a
afraid
year
of
and prisoners
permanent
are watching
damage.
constantly, available methods to get the word
Like,
out
for a
there are
week.
few and far between. Gangs of prisoners have also
I know that
organized
Vsauce did it
riots
for
and
3 days.
protests.
I've seen
In
it.
Black Dolphin
But
Prison,
I mean, I was talking more
150
like
people
a
were
week
involved in such a
or
protest.
even longer,
4
like 2
individuals
weeks.
were hospitalized as a consequence. Let's not
Yes,
forget about the
Forsen.
backlash they faced
The
from
Minecraft
guards.
uses
In another
strange
prison in
names
Russia,
for their
300
axis. Y is height. U move north-south on z-axis, and east-west on x-axis. And again, the fortress spawn more likely in negative z-axis, so north.
yeah, Minecraft is using the weird ones. I was thinking about the standard ones, right? Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I fucking said. Fuck. It's standard. Okay. Let's settle this once and for all. X, Y, Z is what is the word I'm looking for? Probably G. Do I want geography or geometry? Is it?
This is basically any prison in Belarus after the mass protests last year. Free Belarus.
Belarus. Z-axis is always the vertical axis and is positive upwards. Z-axis is always the vertical one. That's what I said. You fucking retards, not all of you, but the half of you who were fucking doubting. Yes, that's what I said. But in Minecraft, it's not. That's what we were trying to fucking establish. Okay.
Inmates slash themselves with razor blades on their wrists, necks, and stomachs. Yet in another institution, prisoners cut their wrists because officers forced them to eat off the same plate as prisoners from a lower caste, aka those who had committed worse crimes. It's testament to poor prison conditions in Russia in general. The country has one of the highest prison populations in the world outside of the US, yet with a much smaller population. Now check out our other videos about Guantanamo Bay Prison. And
Guantanamo Bay, dude. I bet there's 100%. There's 100%, not being tinfoil hat. There's 100% a prison we don't know about, right? Off the radar prison that they always have in movies, you know. But they probably actually is one of those top secret one that they actually fucking torture people, like big time, completely off the radar. So this is probably not even the worst one. Mom.